Hey people, welcome back to the BrickzWithTipz YouTube channel, and today we're going to be looking at the 10 crucial things to look out for on your survey. Now, if you're new here, my name is Tayo Oguntonode, co-founder of BrickzWithTipz, which I run with my wife Antoinette. I'm also a TV presenter and property commentator, and wait there, Antoinette and I won Property Financial Influencer of the Year. Don't know how many times I'm going to show you this, but if you're new, this must mean something, right? Anyways, this particular video was actually inspired by this TikTok that this lady posted. Now I'm going to leave her TikTok in the description below, but she bought a property that was rat infested. She was duped into it. It sounds like the vendor actually tried to trick her into buying the property and tried to hide all signs of a rat infestation. Now I want to be clear, she did get a survey. However, it still inspired me to make a video on the 10 crucial things to look out for on your survey and what you can do. Not going to take much time on each one. Don't want to bore you, but there's going to be some vital gems here. So lock in. Let's go. Right, guys. So number one, structural movement. This could be any signs or indication or evidence of structural movement in the property. Now, the reason that we look out for that is that properties that are subject to subsidence, which is movement in the foundations of the property, can significantly reduce the value of a property. So for each one, we're going to look at what to look out for. So in this case, you're going to look out for cracks in the walls, cracks near door frames, and you're also going to look out for uneven flooring. Now on cracks, sometimes it may just be a crack in the plaster. Sometimes it's actually a crack in the brickwork. You want to get an indication from your surveyor and make sure that it's indicated on the survey. The next thing I'm going to talk you through is probing questions. Are these cracks historic? Are they active cracks? Are they cracks in the plaster? Are they cracks in the brickwork? Could these cracks impact my mortgage application or my insurance? And then the final point on each one I'm going to go through is who you can contact for further advice. So a professional you could refer it to. And in this case, if there were concerns, ideally you want to go to a structural engineer to have a further look at it. Should that be suggested on your survey, or should you have pressing concerns about it? Quick tip, guys. Cracks that are wider than 3 millimeters or cracks that you can put a pound coin in should be considered very, very carefully. All right, guys, next up, we got damp and mold. Now, damp and mold can leave lasting damage to a property. Doesn't look good, doesn't smell nice. So what to look out for is bubbling paint, black spots near windows or near the top corners or the bottom corners, wet patches, peeling wallpaper, and musty odors. Now, you need to be aware that damp can arise from penetrating damp, rising damp, or condensation. Sometimes it could just be that the existing vendors or the existing people that live in the property are not ventilating the property correctly. Probing questions. What type of damp is it? What's causing it? Has it been treated before? Is there evidence of leaking pipes or roof damage? Is the external drainage okay? And if you wanted to refer this to an external party, you'd be looking at a damp specialist. However, if it is caused by a leak, you could look for a plumber, or if it's caused by roof damage, you could look for a roofer. Quick tip as well. Damp that is not treated quickly can lead to mold, which can have significant respiratory issues for young children, especially those who might have conditions like asthma. Next up, the condition of the roof, and a very, very important one. So checking out the condition of the roof is quite hard sometimes because you're not going to climb on the roof. But sometimes if you stand in the property and step back, you can look out for missing tiles or a sagging roof. But a key one is leaks in the attic. Now, remember, this is for you to spot it on the survey. So see if there's any evidence of these things on the survey. Some probing questions could be, what's the remaining lifespan of the roof, do you reckon? Are there any signs of poor ventilation in the loft? Does the property have asbestos materials in the roof? If there are any issues, who you can refer it to, of course, is a roofer. Quick one on roof spaces and loft spaces though. Once upon a time, there was a cheap form of extra insulation that you could have in your property called spray foam insulation. I actually did a report on this with the BBC once, because what happens with spray foam insulation is that sometimes it traps all the moisture in the timbers in the loft. Now, this can actually weaken the timbers, and cut a long story short, there was once upon a time where a lot of lenders said that if your property has spray foam insulation, they will not give the property a mortgage. Now, that can significantly reduce the value of your property. So please, 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 when you get your survey, ensure that there is no spray foam insulation in the property. Right, guys, next up, we've got plumbing and drainage. Now, this is super, super important. Now, when you were looking around the property on your viewing, which would have been before the survey, you might have been able to spot low drainage, low pressure, rust on pipes, maybe any visible leaks or signs of historic leak. Now, hopefully in your survey, this will highlight these further, and then you can start asking questions. Questions like, was there any previous leaks, any previous damage, any previous repairs? And if you wanted to refer it to further professionals, naturally go to a plumber. But if there was something specific, like maybe you had some really, really slow drainage, sometimes you might need a drainage specialist that's going to use CCTV for underground drainage and things like that. So definitely look out for that as well. Next up, after drainage, you're typically going to look at electrics. Now, electrics is a tricky one. On your survey, especially when it comes to electrics and drainage as well, a lot of the time they'll say, we've had a look at this, we've kind of gauged it, but make sure you see an electrician. Or we've had a look at this and we've sized it up, but make sure you go and see a plumber. So you're going to get that on your survey. That's very natural. Don't be scared. So what you're going to look out for is outdated wiring, outdated fuse boxes, and the kind of questions that you're going to ask is that, does it have an up-to-date electrical safety certificate called an EICR? You can also ask, is rewiring needed or a partial rewiring needed? And naturally, if you need further special help, you're going to go and see an electrician. Next up, number 6, we got windows and doors. Super, super, super important. Faulty windows and doors can let a draft in sometimes, increasing your energy bills, or it can have an impact on the security of your home as well. So super, super important. And we're going to watch out for that on the survey. Type of things we're going to look out for in the survey is that if there's any damage to the seals on the double glazing, if there's any single glazing in the property, we can ask what repairs or replacements are needed. And we can also ask if the property has energy efficient doors and windows as well. Further professionals that we could look into is people like glazing professionals, or we could look at locksmiths if we have any security concerns when it comes to the property. Number 7, insulation and energy efficiency. A lot of people forget about this. Now, this isn't only about your bills. It does have an impact on the value of the property as well, because people want energy efficient homes nowadays. So the type of things we're going to look out for is the property's EPC rating. That is the Energy Performance Certificate. It's publicly available, but we're going to find out what it is it up to date as well, because these EPCs last 10 years. So sometimes a lot of work has been done since the EPC has been produced. So sometimes the EPC may be outdated. We're going to look at if the boiler is functioning correctly. Make sure you keep an eye on that on the survey. And also, if there's any suggestions on how the property could be made more energy efficient, we can have a look at that. See if the vendor is going to implement that before they sell it to you, or is that something that you're going to take on yourself? Remember, where there is anything that you're going to have to take on yourself, that you think that you're going to have to do to make this an adequate buy for yourself, you can actually negotiate that. Now, we teach you in depth how to do that on the Home Buyers Club. If you don't know already, the Home Buyers Club is a platform that Antoinette and I run, where you get loads of bite-sized videos on how to buy property. You get one-to-ones with myself. You get a community that you can tap into. You get online webinars. You get physical meets at venues like Barclays Bank, who we partner with. And as a whole, and most of all, you get a plan taking you from A to B to buying your first property. Guidance the whole way through, all the resources that you need. If you want to find out more about the Home Buyers Club, you can click the link below, because watchers of our YouTube video actually get to skip the waiting list and tap into a free trial straight away. Check it out. Now, if you want to refer it to further professionals, you can refer it to a plumber or a heating assessor, which you can find on platforms like My Builder, Check a Trade, or what else do I use? Rated People. Next up, we got pests. Now, we want to make sure that our surveyors looked around the whole property, investigating every single room. If they didn't have access to a room, we want to find out why. Especially the loft. And if there's any evidence near the floorboards in the kitchen, anywhere where there's food, that is a good place to look for any signs of rodents, rats and mice, which we don't want in our property. Probing questions during the conveyancing process can be like, has there been any evidence of pest infestations? Has there been any treatment carried out? If so, was it successful? And naturally, if it needs to, a further professional you refer this on to is a pest control specialist. Now, once again, pro tip, check the loft, check the basement. Places that people don't normally go to all the time is typically where they'll hang out. And the final one, number 10, overlooked, Japanese knotweed. Now, what is Japanese knotweed? Japanese knotweed is a plant that has very, very strong roots, and it's kind of like bamboo-like. But the problem with Japanese knotweed is that if it grows into the foundations of your property, it can be so strong, so strong, that it can damage the integrity of the foundation of your property. What's even worse is that if a lender identifies any signs of Japanese knotweed, they can refuse to lend on the property. And as you know, that can significantly reduce the value of your property. Probing questions. Is there any evidence of Japanese knotweed near or around the property? If there is, how far is it from the property? And is it likely to have an impact on me getting a mortgage on this property. Now, further professionals, there are people that specialize in removing or treating Japanese knotweed, but this can be a lengthy, expensive process. So if you do find that Japanese knotweed has been identified at your property, you probably want to, hate to say it, but think twice if you want to continue with that property purchase. Now, guys, that concludes 10 key things that you should look out for on your survey when it comes. And hopefully you'll see how you'll speak to your surveyor and other parties that you've already hired, like your conveyancer, or that you may hire later, to make sure that you've done your due diligence to ensure that it's a sound purchase. If you liked the tips that were given, let us know which of the 10 you were most surprised about, or which of the 10 that you're most worried about, or if there's any that weren't mentioned, feel free to put them in the comments below. Give this video a like, a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe as well. And finally, if you are interested in joining a community, a platform that can help you shorten the amount of time it takes for you to buy your first home, make sure you click the link below and join the Home Buyers Club. See you on the next one, guys. Peace.